how does somebody go to prison and I'm doing something like that? You know, then I thought about my own medication, you know, and I know he had a COVID shot.
Standing there the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. We're outside for that. I was there too. Can we have you step a little closer? Is that all right? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'd like to move.
Oh, is this for me? Oh, wait, is it for me? Okay.
Would it be okay if you can have him this shot here?
Yeah.
That way we can see like the time.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
So, thank you everyone for coming today.
Yes, thank you.
This is Marie Franco, it's Jose's mom, and we're just all here to support you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very happy that everyone's here to support me, and this is my son Jose,
My baby, like I was been saying. The only thing I want to say today, I'm going to make a little short because I've been crying for 2 days straight. I miss my son, and the only thing I need is answers. What happened to my son? What really happened to my son in there? I just need answers. I just need a lot of answers. If someone would come forward and tell me what really happened to him, because I'm grieving so much for my son. I feel so hurt, destroyed inside. I just need answers. I just want answers. What happened to my son in that place in there? I got this anger inside of me. I'm not getting anywhere. Nobody's telling me anything. I had him cremated on my birthday. February 18, I had to cremate my son. And it hurted me so much. And now that I have his ashes in my apartment on top of a table, and I know it's him, it hurts me a lot more. Been crying for 2 days since I picked up his ashes Friday, this past Friday. Please, somebody come forward, please. You have a mother too. You all have mothers. Please, someone come forward and see the pain that I'm carrying inside. It hurts so much. Please, someone speak up, please. Please, that's all I need, somebody to tell me the truth about my son, please. He was a great guy. He was very funny. He would make people laugh. He would help anyone out, anyone. So that's the way I brought him up. I love my baby so much. Only God knows how much I love my kids. My little Jose, my firstborn. Please, someone come forward. I don't have too much to say because I'm so hurt inside. That's all I got to say for today. Thank you, though. Please, someone come forward. Please, please. Thank you.
Marie's a very brave woman. Her son, 46-year-old Jose, died on February 9th. 2 months before he was about to be released from the ACI. She has received no information from the ACI repeatedly. She's been here repeatedly protesting. There are groups who are protesting on her behalf. As her lawyer, we've made inquiries to the ACI to find out what happened to her son. The only information we get is rumors and innuendo from people who claim to have heard information about Jose. It is cruel it is demeaning and disrespectful of this mother to not provide information to her after all this time. With no end in sight, we have no information other than a vague promise that at some point there will be a conclusion to an investigation and we may be able to get some information. And that leads people, and the people here, there's very different disparate groups who have been following the ACI and who have been observing what's been going on here for many months. It leads people to come to conclusions that may not be accurate, come up with conspiracy theories, all kinds of ideas, because we can't get information from them. And although I'm not part of, and I'm not a member of any of the groups that are here today, it's a wide coalition of people who are supporting Marie and her plight. But they know, and we all know, that the ACI has had some experience with prisoners who have died. So you think the least they could do is to respond to a grieving mother, not to exacerbate her problems, not to make her hurt even more. We're willing to assume that we don't know all the facts. We're willing to assume that there could be a wide range of things that may have happened to Jose. But when they don't tell us, when they don't give us information, when they politely shut the door on us, it not only makes us wonder, but it is a cruelty inflicted upon a grieving mother and her family. It's not just Marie, it's an entire family, an entire community who feels hurt, disrespected. We urge the ACI, we urge the leadership and the governor and the administration to finally get to the bottom of this, to meet with us, to explain to us what they found so far. Let us know.
Exactly.
And after a month, they should have some answers.
We have plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Thank you for coming today.
May I say something? I never got to see my son. They never let me go in there to see his body at the autopsy place. And I had to pay for his autopsy. I can get the papers that I need for my son. I had to pay for it. But the most thing is, it hurts me. I couldn't get to see my son for the last time at least and tell him I love him. They kept on making excuses about the COVID-19. And they told me that the room they have in there is for a meeting. That's what they told me down at the autopsy place. So I never got to see my son. Never got to see my baby. Never. And I gotta live with this for the rest of my life, that I could not see my baby. I gotta live with this. And I gotta cremate him too on my birthday. Wow. That's something very strong for a mother.
Well, I don't think any mother should have to go through this. And what's even more upsetting, and it's sort of the picking at the scab of the wound, if you will, is the lack of information. And that's just unacceptable. She's a human being, she's a mother, she's a citizen, she's a taxpayer. She has the right to information from the government about what happened to her son after a month.
That's right.
There's no excuse for that, and there can be no excuse for that. The ACI in the state of Rhode Island held this gentleman in custody. They were responsible for him. They are responsible to the citizens to provide answers. And it seemed to me that that's an easy ask of them to provide answers, especially after a month.
He was supposed to come out this month on the 17th.
March 17th, he was due to be released.
What has the state said to you in terms of explaining why they haven't given you any answers, if they have said anything?
Nothing, other than it's under investigation.
Nothing at all whatsoever.
Have they said who it's under investigation by?
The state police.
Thank you.
Is the we've got a newly elected, or I should say we have a newly ordained, if you will, governor who in much pomp and circumstance was just a few short hours ago made officially governor. Do you have a message for Governor McKee?
Yeah, we do have a message for him. We have a message for the administration here that there should be an internal investigation, because it hasn't only happened to him and his family, but there's many more that have died. at the hands of the ACI and the hands of the administration here at the ACI. I understand also that the Brotherhood chairman, the vice president for the chairman here at the correctional facility, he has a say-so in this too. Because when the guard that came up with COVID and he died, they shut down the whole facility so they could go to his funeral. But not once have they contacted his mother, not once. And that's a terrible thing that a mother has to go through. Unacceptable, and we're not going to stand here and say we're going to take this as it is. We're going to keep coming, we're going to keep protesting until she gets answers. And it needs to be done. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Because there's unanswered questions that should be known to the public and known to her. Why her son died. And I understand also that I've been hearing that these cells that the inmates are being placed in at the intake are not even being cleaned. You're just throwing inmates in there in a cell that's not even sanitized or clean. Some of them inside there for over 90 days. Their cells hasn't been cleaned.
And I had to hear from my son's death through voices.
Are you saying the state failed to notify you of his death?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
How did you learn about the death?
To a friend of my son's. They called me on my phone and told me.
Did you then call the state and ask what happened?
No. Went straight down. They told me that his body was in the morgue.
You visited in person and found that out?
In the morgue. I went to the morgue in person, yes. And they gave me a hard time in there.
You went to the prison, right?
I came to the prison, yeah. I came to the prison, I went down to the morgue.
And they gave her like 3 different numbers to call.
Yeah.
So
Numbers after numbers, and excuses after excuses, because everything that they said, it didn't match.
Lie.
Sir, is there any litigation being planned at this moment?
Excuse me?
Is there any litigation, any lawsuits being planned at this moment?
We need to know why he died.
Yeah,
we need to
that's
get
all
their
I need to
information.
know right now.
Once we
yes.
get that information, we can.
I just do what I have to do
Jose
for my
was
son.
Jose was on medication here at the ACI because I'm a good friend to him, and I talked to him the night that he supposedly died. I talked to him at 8:30 that night, just before he went in his cell, and the next day he was dead. So he was on medication. There was two medications Jose was taking, and I don't know if that played a role in his death, but it could be possible. And he also had the first dose of the vaccine a month prior to his death. So
When you have an environment where secrecy is basically the law of the land, many cases of people, inmates, human beings dying inside, and basically nothing comes out unless the media, us learn, or friends of friends learn. It looks like whatever happens inside stays inside. How do you hope that change can come to that?
First of all, with the investigation, you got to understand, this is a brotherhood association, just like the Ku Klux Klan. So they're not going to reveal all of the things that happened to Jose, if any. They're going to continue hiding, lying. When you have correctional officers investigating themselves, there's never going to be a good outcome. They're going to make excuses after excuses after excuses. That's why we're standing here. And that's why we're continuing to be standing here until she gets answers, until we all get answers. Stop hiding it under the rug. Stop hiding it. Tell this woman what happened to her son. She needs to know. We need to know. That's why we're here.
Would it make sense to have a outdoor agency, someone aside that's not connected to anything inside that can investigate this thing? Because
Boston FBI.
Say that again, Mark?
Boston FBI office should be notified.
I think it's one thing that's important to know. There's a lot of different people here with different kinds of different groups, different advocacy groups. They have a lot of experience in some of these issues. Marie and I are here for her son, and I think it's important that we take this one step at a time. The first step is to find out what happened to him. Okay? So, with all due respect, we're not calling anybody in the Brotherhood a member of the Ku Klux Klan. You have grievances and other issues, they may be legitimate, and there may be people who want to raise all kinds of other issues, okay? And I don't know that much about those issues, quite honestly. We're here for what happened to Jose and to get answers for him. And that's the first step and the first take. And then if we're satisfied, we may be satisfied, and that may be the end of it. If we're not satisfied, then we're going to get to the bottom of it a different way. We have to take it one step at a time. The first step today is to find out simply what happened to him. Okay? And no one at the ACI, no one in the Department of Corrections have reached out to say, courteously, let's sit down, we'll explain to you what we know, we'll explain to you what we've investigated, what we found after a month. And I think people who have far more experience in dealing with these kinds of issues than Marie and myself, one of the reasons I think they feel suspicious and concerned is because this is in a wider context. And there have been a history of deaths at the ACI. So I think they must have been able to develop some expertise in dealing with family members after deaths. And unfortunately, they haven't utilized their expertise in our case, in our situation. And that's why we demand an immediate meeting, immediate information.
Could we have you just say and spell your first and last name for us and your title?
Sure, Dave Strachman, S-T-R-A-C-H-M-A-N.
Do we know who at the state police is investigating?
I don't know.
So, okay.
I've been told.
Oh,
I've been told the state police is investigating.
but you don't know which?
I do
Okay.
not.
And, when do you get the results of the autopsy?
As soon as the way it's put, I guess is when they're ready to give it to me, I guess.
So, okay,
I left my phone number, my name and everything down there.
they
At the
didn't tell you how
autopsy
long
place.
it would take?
They told me it'd take about 90 days.
Okay. Yeah,
Is the autopsy being conducted by the state medical examiner or by a private forensic pathologist?
I think by the state.
His body's already been cremated, so there's no
Yes,
ongoing.
I have him at home. I have him at home on top of my kitchen table in my apartment. Yep. Jose's home with his mom. He said I could give him a little small memorial for him. And
I just want to say the reason why you expressed that suspicion and why so many people here are here today is because most of the people here have experienced some kind of lies from the prison, right? We don't know what happened in this situation, but we have been out here every week for months. We've been hearing from people for months and months since COVID started that the things that the prison are saying don't line up with what folks here are hearing from their loved ones. Yeah, so
there's a total contradiction.
there's a context for that suspicion that it's real.
And that's why I made that statement. And I stand by that statement. Because I got loved ones inside too.
We all do. I think you'll get something.
All right.
Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all for coming
Thank
out.
you for coming.
Excuse me a moment. I might fill up the